Format and presentation is considered one of the most important things or one of the most important elements of language curriculum design. So we'll discuss format and presentation at a smaller scale, at the individual level or at the teaching level, at the level of how format and presentation could be applied to make a language teaching appropriate and suitable for the learners. Before I discuss this, the contents of this module, I would just like you to take a little pause and think about these questions. So, for example, why are decisions related to format and presentation considered important by teachers? Secondly, what questions are addressed while formatting and presenting a particular lesson or an activity? How would you format and present the content of your lessons? You could pause the video for a while and think what information you could think about on these questions. Well, format and presentation, like content and sequencing, has got its strong significance for the domain of language teaching. Because the format and presentation allows the teachers to give order to the lessons. In other words, it allows the learners, on the other hand, to do, and they get to know what they are doing, and they get to know what the teachers will get them do in future activities. Right. So, the decisions related to format and presentation are primarily influenced by certain variables. For example, they could be influenced by needs analysis. So, for example, if you are teaching English for specific purposes and you do a needs analysis, so through needs analysis, you might come to know that your students lack some areas they need to improve, in English for specific purposes. For example, the use of may and might, right? So this is how you will, format the lesson according to the needs of the students. And similarly, you might have to make decisions to change your principles of language teaching. You might think of starting somewhere which you didn't think earlier on. So, and similarly, it could be influenced by environment analysis, right? So, the format and presentation is, primarily it's influenced by our decisions about the principles of language teaching. I mean, the method which we want to use actually in the classroom, right? So just bear in mind, format and presentation, like goals, like principles, like content and sequencing, should aim to enhance meaning-focused input and meaning-focused output and fluency-based language learning. What I mean to say by meaning-focused input is just the learners are having experiences of language learning which are meaningful for them. In other words, which they are not learning for the sake of language learning. Rather, they are meaning-driven language learning, right? So there are a number of questions related to format and presentation, which you might not be surprised and which you might be already experiencing, or which you might experience in future when you adopt teaching as a profession. So what activities will I get my learners to do today? Right. Secondly, shall I get learners to do activity individually or in pairs or in groups? That's important, because when you make decisions about such tiny things, you format the lesson or the whole course according to the needs of your students. Thirdly, should I pre-teach before reading passage? That's important. And shall I write this on the blackboard? Or have I got a good balance of activities in this lesson, which means have I got good balance of meaning-focused input, meaning-focused output, and fluency-based language learning? So in brief, format and presentation, although it's a wider, I mean, its scope is wide, yet it has its, strong association with language teaching at smaller scale, and it allows us to make key decisions about, how to format and present a particular lesson in an appropriate and effective manner.